Meanwhile, my family's messages had evolved from guilt tripping to attempted manipulation. Mum sent long emails about how Dad's health was suffering from the stress of my absence. Jessica forwarded articles about the importance of family forgiveness. Danny tried the buddy approach, sending memes and jokes as if nothing had happened, slowly trying to normalize communication. I responded occasionally, brief messages, confirming I was alive and well, nothing more. Then, 6 weeks into my Prague residency, I got a call from Victoria that changed everything. "Samantha, we need to talk about something sensitive," she said. "I am sending you an encrypted file. Look at it and call me back." The file contained internal documents from my former employer in Denver. Somehow, Apex had obtained details of their new expansion strategy, and it was aggressive. They were planning to undercut Apex's pricing in every major market, using what appeared to be insider knowledge of Apex's cost structures. "How did they get this information?" I asked when I called Victoria back. "We think they have someone on the inside, someone who knows our contracts and pricing." She paused. "Samantha, I need to ask you directly. You worked there for 6 years. Did you sign a non-compete?" "No, I was just an analyst. They did not consider me important enough for a non-compete. And you have had no contact with anyone there since you left?" "None. I quit without notice and disappeared." "Remember," Victoria was quiet for a moment. "The timeline matches up. They started getting aggressive right around when you would have been in Southeast Asia, establishing our new supplier relationships." My mind raced. "You think they are copying my strategy? How would they even know what I was doing?" "That is what we need to find out. Can you think of anyone there who might have tracked your movements? Anyone who knew about your new position?" I thought back to my old office, to the people I had worked with for 6 years. Most of them had barely noticed when I left. But there was one person who might have paid attention. "There was someone," I said slowly. "Trevor. He was in my department, always competitive, always looking for an edge. We worked on several projects together. He knew my methods. Is he still there? As far as I know. Let me check." I logged into LinkedIn for the first time in weeks. Trevor's profile showed he was still at my former employer, but he had been promoted. He was now the director of International Supply Chain Strategy, my job, the promotion I had been quietly working toward for 6 years. "Victoria, he has my old job, or rather, the job I should have gotten. Send me his information. We need to figure out if he is tracking your work." Over the next week, Victoria's team investigated. What they found was both flattering and infuriating. Trevor had indeed been monitoring my LinkedIn profile, my consulting activities, and even my travel patterns. He had been using my success as a roadmap, following 3 months behind, approaching the same suppliers I had worked with, and trying to undercut the relationships I had built. But he was not as good at it as I was. He lacked the cultural sensitivity, the patience, the genuine relationship-building skills. Most of the suppliers he approached had rejected his offers or given him minimal access, remaining loyal to the partnerships I had established. Still, his attempts were causing problems. Suppliers were confused about why 2 different American companies were approaching them with similar strategies. Some were starting to distrust both companies, worried about being caught in corporate games. "We need to shut this down," Victoria said during our strategy call. "Samantha, I know this is asking a lot, but would you be willing to go back to Denver? Apex wants to open a United States regional office, and we think your presence there would send a strong message. Plus, you could directly counter whatever Trevor is doing." I thought about it. Denver, home, the place I had fled from a year ago. "When?" I asked. 3 months. That gives you time to finish your Eastern Europe projects and transition them to someone else. We want you focused on the United States market and directly competing with your old company. They will realize I am specifically targeting them. Good. Let them realize it. You are better at this than anyone they have. and it is time they knew it. After the call, I sat in my Prague apartment, looking out over the city lights. A year ago, I had been invisible, forgotten, left behind. Now I was being asked to return as a strategic weapon. The irony was almost too perfect. I called my mother. It was time. "Mom, I'm coming back to Denver." The sound she made was somewhere between a gasp and a sob. "Really? Oh, Samantha, I'm so glad. When?" 3 months for work. Apex is opening a regional office there, and I will be running it. You will be running an office, but I thought you were just consulting. I am being promoted to regional director. It is a significant position. I did not know you were doing so well. You did not ask. There was a pause. You're right. I did not. I am sorry for that, sweetheart. Truly, I know. And surprisingly, I did believe her. But I am not coming back to be the old Samantha. That person does not exist anymore. I am coming back on my own terms, with my own life, my own career. If you and Dad and Jessica and Danny want to be part of that life, you will need to accept it. Of course we will. We just want you back in our lives. We will see, I said. I will let you know when I land. The 3 months passed quickly. I wrapped up my Eastern European projects, trained my replacement, and prepared for the move back to Denver. Apex had leased office space in a new building downtown, sleek and modern. Nothing like my old office. They had given me a generous budget to hire a small team and the authority to make strategic decisions independently. I was not just returning to Denver. I was returning as someone who mattered. The night before my flight, I had one last video call with Victoria. "Samantha, I want you to know something," she said. "When I first reached out to you a year ago, I was taking a risk. You had no official consulting experience, just some projects you had cobbled together while traveling. But something told me you were special. You proved me right beyond my wildest expectations. Thank you. That means a lot. This new position, it is not just about competing with your old employer. We are betting on you to build something significant. Apex wants to dominate the pharmaceutical distribution market in the United States within 5 years. You are going to help us do that." "No pressure then," I said with a smile. She laughed. "You thrive under pressure. That is why we hired you. One more thing though. Your old employer knows you are coming. Word has gotten out. Expect them to react. Let them react. I am ready." I landed in Denver on a crisp October afternoon, exactly 1 year and 1 month after I had left. The city looked the same, but I felt completely different. I checked into a hotel. Apex was paying for temporary housing until I found an apartment and spent the evening unpacking and preparing for my first day at the new office. I did not contact my family yet. That could wait. The Apex regional office was on the 14th floor of a building in the Lodo district. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered views of the mountains. My office had my name on the door. Samantha, Regional Director. I stood in the doorway for a moment, taking it in. A year ago, I had been an analyst in a cubicle, easily forgotten. Now, I had an office with my name on it and a team to build. My first hire was critical. I needed someone who understood the local market, but was not tied to any of the existing players. I spent 2 weeks interviewing candidates, and I found her. Patricia, not my old supervisor. Different Patricia. This Patricia was a former operations manager at a medical device company. Sharp and ambitious. Exactly what I needed. "I will be honest," she said during her interview. "I know who you are. I know you used to work at the company we are competing against. That makes this interesting." "Interesting? How?" I asked. "Because everyone in the industry is talking about you. The analyst who disappeared and came back as a consultant, who built a reputation in Asia faster than anyone thought possible, and who is now being positioned to take on her former employer. It is a great story. It is not a story. It is my life." "Even better," Patricia said with a grin. "I want to be part of it. When do I start?" She started the following Monday. Together, we began building the operation. 2 more hires followed: a logistics coordinator and a business analyst. Small team, but effective. Meanwhile, my family was becoming persistent. They knew I was back in Denver. I had posted about my new position on LinkedIn, but I had not reached out. Finally, after 2 weeks, I agreed to have dinner with them. Not at home, but at a restaurant. Neutral ground. They were all there. Mom, Dad, Jessica with her husband, Brandon, and Danny. They looked older, more tired. Or maybe I was just seeing them clearly for the first time. The dinner started awkwardly. Everyone trying too hard to be normal, to pretend the last year had not happened. Finally, my father cleared his throat. "Samantha, we owe you an apology. A real one. What we did, leaving you out of Jessica's wedding, it was unforgivable. We got caught up in the excitement and the planning, and we forgot the most important thing. You." "We did not forget her," Mom interjected. We forgot her," Dad said firmly. "Let us be honest. Samantha has always been the easy child." Distribution. It was a competitor to my old employer, but smaller, more nimble. According to their website, they were expanding aggressively. I wrote back, I would be interested in learning more. I am currently based in Europe, but available for video consultations. What timeline are you working with? Her response came within an hour. How does tomorrow work? 2 p.m. Central Time. The video call happened in a co-working space in Barcelona. Victoria appeared on my screen. A sharp-eyed woman in her 50s, with steel grey hair and a no-nonsense demeanor. "Let me be direct," she said after brief introductions. "We are bleeding money on our Asian supply chain. Delayed shipments, quality issues, and we are paying too much for freight. I have heard you managed to cut shipping costs by 30% for 3 different clients in the last 6 months, while improving delivery times. How?" I walked her through my methodology: relationship building with reliable local suppliers, understanding regional logistics networks, negotiating as a partner rather than just a buyer, quality control systems that respected local manufacturing practices while meeting international standards. She listened intently, occasionally asking sharp questions that proved she knew the industry well. "I will be honest with you, Samantha," she said when I finished. "I have been in this business for 28 years. Most consultants talk a good game but cannot deliver. You sound like you actually know what you are doing. I want to offer you a 6-month contract, remote work, but you would need to travel to our supplier sites periodically. The pay is substantial." She named a figure that made my heart skip. It was more than I had made in a year at my old job. "I need to think about it," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Of course, but I need an answer by Friday. We are losing ground to competitors, and I need someone who can move fast." After the call ended, I sat in that co-working space for 2 hours, thinking this was a real opportunity, not just a collection of small consulting gigs, but a legitimate contract with a growing company. It would mean structure, stability, and validation of everything I had built over the past 8 months. It would also mean emerging from my self-imposed exile. I thought about my family, about the messages I had been ignoring, about the fact that I had been gone for 8 months, and they still had no idea where I was or what I was doing. Part of me wanted to stay hidden forever, to keep building this new life where no one knew me as the forgettable middle child. But another part, the part that had grown stronger with each country visited and each deal closed, knew that real growth meant eventually facing what I had left behind. Not because I owed them anything, because I owed myself the satisfaction of showing them exactly who I had become. I sent Victoria an email. "I accept your offer. When do we start?" Her response was immediate. "Monday, welcome to Apex." Over the weekend, I began the process of returning to the visible world. I turned my phone on fully for the first time in months. The cascade of notifications was overwhelming. Missed calls, voicemails, texts, emails. I ignored all of them for now. Instead, I updated my LinkedIn profile with my new title, International Supply Chain Consultant, Apex Pharmaceutical Distribution. I added details about my consulting works over the past months. Carefully professional, but clearly successful. Then I posted a single update. Excited to announce I am joining Apex Pharmaceutical Distribution as a consultant, helping optimize international supply chains. Looking forward to this next chapter. I knew it would detonate like a bomb in my family's world. They had no idea where I had been or what I had been doing. Now they would see that not only was I fine, I was thriving. My phone started ringing within 10 minutes. Jessica. I let it ring. Then Mom. Then Danny. I ignored them all. Instead, I spent the evening preparing for my new role. Victoria had sent over files detailing Apex's current supply chain challenges. As I reviewed them, I realized something that made me smile. One of their biggest competitors, the company eating their lunch in the Asian markets, was my old employer, the pharmaceutical distribution company, where I had worked for 6 years, where I had been reliable, quiet, easily overlooked Samantha. And now I was being hired specifically to help Apex beat them. The irony was delicious. On Sunday evening, I finally opened the messages from my family. Months of worry, guilt, anger, confusion, and eventual desperate pleading. I read every single one, feeling nothing but a distant sort of pity. Then I composed a single message to the family group chat. Hi everyone, I am fine. I have been traveling and working. Sorry for the silence. I will be in touch soon. Simple, unapologetic, offering no explanations. Jessica tried calling immediately. I declined the call and sent a text. Not ready to talk yet, but I am okay. The next morning, I started my new job. Victoria set up meetings with Apex's executive team. I presented my initial assessment of their supply chain problems and my proposed solutions. They listened with the kind of attention I had never received at my old job. The CEO, a sharp businessman named Gregory, nodded throughout my presentation. This is exactly what we needed. Welcome aboard, Samantha. I think you are going to help us change the game. I smiled. That is the plan. My first major project for Apex took me back to Vietnam, where I had connections with manufacturers that my old company had repeatedly failed to cultivate properly. I flew from Barcelona to Ho Chi Minh City with a clear mandate: establish reliable partnerships with 3 key suppliers, and negotiate contracts that would give Apex a significant advantage. The trip was a success, beyond even Victoria's expectations. Using the relationships I had built during my travels, I secured exclusive agreements with 2 suppliers who had previously worked with my former employer, but had grown frustrated with their rigid, impersonal approach. The third supplier was a new contact, a family-run operation producing high-quality pharmaceutical packaging that exceeded United States standards, while costing 40% less than current alternatives. When I returned to Barcelona and presented the contracts in a video conference, Gregory actually stood up and applauded. Samantha, in 3 weeks, you have accomplished what our previous consultant could not do in 6 months. These contracts alone will save us close to $2 million annually, while improving quality. Outstanding work, Victoria smiled, something I had learned she did not do often. I knew you were the right choice. The executive team wants to discuss expanding your role. Are you available for a call tomorrow? That night, I finally called my family, not because I felt obligated, but because I was ready. My mother answered on the first ring. Samantha. Oh my God. Samantha, is that really you? Hi, Mom. Where are you? What have you been doing? We have been so worried you cannot imagine. I am in Barcelona, I said calmly. I have been traveling and working. I am a consultant now. International supply chain management. There was a stunned silence. You have been in Europe for how long? About 9 months total. Asia before that 9 months. Her voice climbed an octave. You have been gone for 9 months. And you did not think to tell us where you were. You did not think to tell me I was not invited to Jessica's wedding until 3 weeks before. I said pleasantly. I figured we were even. Another silence. This one longer and more uncomfortable. Samantha, that is not fair. We apologize for that. It was a terrible mistake. It was not a mistake, Mom. Mistakes are accidental. You had a list of people to book flights and hotels for, and my name was not on it. That was a choice. Your sister has been devastated. Has she? I asked, because when I looked at the wedding photos, everyone seemed pretty happy. No one looked like they were missing anything. We need to talk about this as a family, Mum said, her voice taking on that familiar tone of maternal authority. When are you coming home? I am not sure yet. My work is here right now. What work? You had a perfectly good job in Denver. I quit that job. I have a new one now. A better one. I could practically hear her struggling to process this. Her reliable, predictable daughter had vanished for 9 months and returned as someone unrecognizable. I want to talk to you about this properly, she said finally. Face to face. Can you at least video call so we can see you? Maybe later this week. I have to go, Mom. Work calls. Samantha, wait. I hung up. It felt surprisingly good. The next call was worse. Jessica tried the guilt approach immediately. Sam, I cannot believe you just disappeared like that. Do you have any idea what that did to me? On my wedding day, knowing my sister was out there somewhere angry at me. Did it ruin your day? I asked. What? No, but then I guess everything worked out fine. That is cruel, Sam. That is not like you. Maybe you do not know what I am like, I said. Maybe nobody does. We grew up together. I am your sister. Sisters remember to invite each other to their weddings. Jessica was crying now. It was not my fault. Mum and Dad were handling the travel. I trusted them to take care of it. You trusted them to take care of everything, except checking if your sister was actually invited. That says something, Jessica. I am sorry. How many times do I have to say it? I am not angry anymore. I said honestly. I am just done being invisible. You were never invisible to me. I am the boring one, remember? The one without the architecture career, or the perfect wedding, or the interesting life. Just reliable old Sam, who you could forget about because she would always be there anyway. That is not true. Then tell me, Jessica, when was the last time you asked me about my life? About what I wanted, what I was doing, what mattered? I found out I was excluded from my own sister's wedding on a Tuesday afternoon, sitting in my Denver apartment with a cup of coffee growing cold between my hands. My mother called while I was reviewing quarterly reports for the pharmaceutical distribution company, where I worked as a supply chain analyst. Samantha, honey, we need to talk about Jessica's wedding, Mom said, her voice carrying that particular tone she used when delivering bad news she wanted to pretend was not actually bad. What about it? I asked, setting down my pen. I already requested the time off work. The wedding is in 3 weeks, right? There was a pause. A long one. The kind that makes your stomach drop before the words even come. Well, that is the thing. Your father and I were handling all the travel arrangements, and somehow we forgot to book your plane ticket and your hotel room. We just realized it yesterday when confirming everything, and now all the flights are completely booked. The hotel too. It is peak season in Maui apparently. I stared at the wall of my office where I had pinned a photo from last Christmas, all of us together smiling. Jessica had her arm around me. We were sisters. We were supposed to be close. You forgot, I repeated slowly. These things happen, sweetheart. We have been so busy with the planning, and there were so many details. Jessica is devastated, of course, but she understands. We will take lots of photos for you. I thought about the 27 years I had spent being the forgettable one, the middle child who never quite measured up to Jessica, the golden daughter who became a successful architect, or my younger brother, Danny, the charming entrepreneur everyone adored. I was just Samantha, reliable and quiet, easy to overlook. That happens, I said flatly. Oh, I am so glad you understand. Your sister was worried you would be upset. You know how sensitive she gets before big events. I will send you photos, I promise. After she hung up, I sat there for an hour. Then, I opened my laptop and started researching. Not flights to Hawaii, something else entirely. The next day at work, I requested a meeting with my supervisor, Patricia. She looked surprised when I told her I wanted to take a leave of absence. A year? She asked, raising her eyebrows. That is quite unusual. Is everything all right? Everything is fine, I said. I have some personal projects I want to pursue. I have been here 6 years, and I think I need a break to figure out my next steps. Patricia studied me for a moment. I had always been her most reliable analyst. The one who stayed late, who never complained, who fixed problems quietly without drama. You have plenty of vacation time saved up, she said finally. And honestly, Samantha, you deserve it. You have been carrying this department for years. If you need a sabbatical, take it. Your position will be here when you get back. I thanked her and walked out feeling lighter than I had in months. That evening, I called my family group chat. Well, I sent a message. No one answered calls anymore. Hey everyone, not going to make the wedding, but I hope it is beautiful. Taking some time for myself. Going to be offline for a while. Love you all. Jessica responded immediately. Wait, what? Where are you going? I did not answer. Instead, I turned off my phone and opened my laptop again. Over the next week, I sold most of my furniture, put my car in storage, and rented out my apartment to a colleague who needed a temporary place. I kept only what fit in 2 suitcases and a backpack. My family tried calling, but I let everything go to voicemail. Jessica left increasingly frantic messages. Sam, this is weird. Where are you going? Are you okay? Please call me back. Danny texted. Dude, what is going on? Mom is freaking out. I did not respond to any of them. The day before Jessica's wedding, I boarded a plane. Not to Hawaii, but to Tokyo. I had always wanted to see Japan, and I had been saving money for years. What I had not told anyone was exactly how much I had saved. Living frugally and investing carefully had given me enough to fund an extended journey, especially if I was smart about it. As the plane took off, I felt something I had not felt in years. Freedom. I spent 3 weeks in Japan, staying in host and budget hotels, eating street food, visiting temples, and practicing my terrible Japanese with patient locals. I took a calligraphy class in Kyoto and learned to make soba noodles from an elderly woman in Osaka who reminded me of my grandmother, the one who had actually remembered my birthday every year, who had left me a small inheritance when she passed. No one in my family knew about that money. Grandma had set up the trust privately, with instructions that it be given to me on my 25th birthday. She had written me a letter that came with it. Samantha, you have always been the one who thinks before acting, who plans quietly while others make noise. Use this wisely. Make yourself proud. I had invested most of it and watched it grow. Now I was using it exactly as Grandma had intended. From Tokyo, I went to Seoul, then Bangkok. I sent no photos, no updates, nothing. I existed in a bubble of anonymity, just another traveler with a backpack and a journal. In Chiang Mai, I took a 6-week course in digital marketing at a small school run by expats. I had always been good with data and analysis, and I discovered I had a talent for understanding online business strategies. Meanwhile, according to the sparse information I gathered from my turned-off phone, when I checked it once every 2 weeks at internet cafes, my family was losing their minds. Jessica's wedding had happened. Based on the single time I logged into social media from a borrowed tablet, it looked beautiful. white sand, sunset ceremony,